Now we're going to move quickly to the next speaker, Yuan Ye, also from the University of St. Thomas in Houston. And he is going to also have a PowerPoint. Working on getting it working here. You can see that Professor Stockton has a point that Texas is the Center for Taiwan Studies. There we go. Is that it? Okay, all right. I was told at lunch today that if you have a laser point printer in Hong Kong, you can go to jail for 10 years. So now every time I see one of these laser point printers, it gives me a different feeling. So you're on.
Thank you. You got the microphone in there.
Now, I teach for a living. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Yuan Ye. I'm an assistant professor from the Center for International Study at the University of St. Thomas. And first of all, I'd like to give my deepest condolences, not condolences, deepest thanks to Dr. Ho for this invitation. It's almost like every 2 years we'll be invited back to UT Dallas for this type of conference. And each time we have a different theme. And this happened to be one of the perfect time where we just finished elections about 5 weeks ago. And people are getting a feeling about what actually happened in this January and how can we interpret the electoral result. So the panel, this wrong panel, even though it's not really rounded on this end, but it's actually set in a very nice way because we have Dr. Clark talking about the contrast and comparison between Brexit and Taiwanese elections, and we have Dr. Stockton talking about the U.S.-Taiwan relationship or in the future, and Dr. Nguyen was focusing on the domestic elections, public opinion. Me, myself, and City Councilman from Taipei City, Mr. Ruo, will be focusing on the projection of the Taiwan and China relation or cross-strait relations in the follow-on. So, yeah, it's working. The first thing I would like to draw your attention is what actually happened about a year ago in Taiwan, or actually in China. So Xi Jinping, the president of China, delivered a message to the compatriot in Taiwan in the beginning of 2019, and he basically said that in order to unify Taiwan, or the so-called 92 consensus, which was one of the baseline foundations for the cross-strait relations, is actually one country, two systems. So let's destroy the old phrases or the argument that the KMT was embracing in the past. They don't really know how to revise the 92 consensus since then. Second, we have a continuous Hong Kong protest going on even nowadays. I think it hasn't really been officially ended, and we still see a minor protest going on in Hong Kong. And all this together, then we figure out that just right before elections, there's a strong DPP supporter or a strong Taiwanese sentiment against China. Not necessarily the whole China, not necessarily the trade between Taiwan and China, or any trade dependency with China, but just China, the Communist Party, the authoritarian system. So, like Dr. Wong was saying, the defending democracy becomes the key in the 2020 election, which resulting in Tsai's overwhelming victory. If you think about roughly in 2018 October or November, you won't be able to imagine this. Taiwan can actually win convoy for over almost 20% of a vote. And you also couldn't imagine that DPP could stay as a majority party in the legislature again after this election. If you think about how much they lost during the 2018 midterm elections, this shouldn't happen. But history kind of interesting because just after 1 year, through these various events, and we have seen huge changes about our electoral outcome. So, this brought in challenges and opportunity for Taiwan. The first one, especially on the challenges regarding the cross-strait relations, is because we have, DPP used to be coined as a pro-independent party, But in 2016, well, after Taiwan inaugurated, Taiwan tried to reshape the tone of DPP into a status quo party, but not pro-China. All right, and this is actually one of the reasons lots of deep green party supporter hate Taiwan. Instead, that's why we see a party divide in the primary in DPP, why they want to support William Lai to run as a presidential candidate for DPP. But even given that, from the Chinese perspective, Taiwan is still being seen as a non-pro-unification or non-pro-China president from the Taiwanese side. And so we can see there should be more diplomatic pressures on Taiwan regarding any sort of participation, any sort of international organization as we want to prepare ourselves onto it. And specifically, we have seen the recent silence of Taiwan on WHO's Twitter page. So WHO has a Twitter account, and because Taiwan wasn't really a member of World Health Organization, so everybody who actually mentioned, hey, you forgot about Taiwan, hey, Taiwan should participate, it will be blocked, it will be silent by this Twitter account. And not to mention, due to the 2019-2020 Wuhan coronavirus that's going on nowadays, so almost every single day, the World Health Organization will provide a speaker talking about what's going on today, how many more confirmed cases does we have, and how many more casualties we have seen. And in those meetings, Taiwan says we have confirmed case, and we just had about one single casualty roughly about a couple of days ago. So what it say about Taiwan is, all right, now we're gonna talk about Taiwan. Taiwan, a province of China. Taiwan, Chinese area. Taiwan, as long as it's not Republic of China, it's not just Taiwan, they will find a way to name Taiwan. So they try to, the international organization under the Chinese pressure is trying to change the tone or trying to change the rhetoric regarding how we phrase Taiwan. And at the same time, the International Civil Aviation Organization also refused to provide passenger information to Taiwan regarding what's a prior travel record of the passengers entering into Taiwan, which is creating a loophole for these anti-coronavirus protections. So, we also see more corrosive strategy. Chinese HC bomber was flying across the median line of the strait recently, about last week, and we should see more of this coming up in the following months or even following years. Because, China has tried so many different soft power, so many different pro-Taiwan policy or pro-Taiwan citizens policy to attract Taiwanese support, to attract support over Kuomintang or support over unification, or at least just pro-China, right? But Dr. Wu just demonstrated evidence that, hey, majority of people don't like or don't trust China. So this seems to be like a dead end. Carrot and stick policy didn't work. So which in return, I guess, they will stop giving carrot. They will put in more emphasis on the stick to see how we can force Taiwan to cooperate. And we should also see even less governmental interactions. We still have a lot of Taiwanese citizens currently blocked in Wuhan, where it's required a direct charter flight to take them back to Taiwan. And we had one about 2 weeks ago, which was not really organized by Mainland Affairs Council, which is the official governmental organization dealing with Chinese issues. It's actually organized by 6-7 committee members, talking with the local people and Chinese officials to arrange the meeting, arrange the flight, and which result in a lot of problematic issues as we have seen on the news. So this is challenging. We should see something getting worse, of course, from the Chinese end. But at the same time, I'm okay. All right, so I want to draw your attention. This is the TEDS data that's collected by the National Tsinghua University for among the national representative poll from 1994 to 2019. Like Dr. Eckert said, we want to wait for 2020's data, but it hasn't been released yet. If you see this, then from the Taiwanese perspective, we don't really have we have to be independent. or we don't have a strong opinion on we have to unify with China. The majority of, not necessarily, let me see, there's this blue line is maintaining the status quo, and where's the other one? And the black line is maintaining the status quo and deciding later. Blue plus black is the majority. Is the majority. So majority of Chinese citizens still believe we want status quo, even though what is exactly the status quo is itself a question mark. Second, we do see an increase of Chinese national identity and declining of Chinese national identity. But if you see the trend of the purple line on the right, if you see the trend of the purple line, which is the dual identity between Taiwanese and Chinese, it wasn't declining that fast. I mean, there's a declining trend, right? So maybe 10 years, 20 years from now, then the projection of people who actually self-identify themselves as dual citizenship will decline. But as of now, if the KMT is still selling this Chinese identity, it has its market. It's just the market. The differences between selling the Taiwanese identity has about 20% of a margin. That's the biggest difference. So, opportunities for Taiwan. Well, we just passed and we're going to implement the Anti-Infiltration Act, which stops Chinese influence regarding our media and disinformation in Taiwan. And at the same time, we should see, like Dr. Stanley was saying, we should see more cooperation between Taiwan and the United States, like free trade agreement, or maybe we will see, like we just seen the VP elect William Lai in Washington D.C. Will President Tsai actually get a chance to come? She kind of transferred in like New York, Denver, Los Angeles, Houston, Dallas. Sorry, she hasn't picked Dallas yet, because we don't have a direct flight yet. But we will see an escalation of this type of exchange, official exchange between Taiwan and the United States. And maybe we will also see enhancing the U.S. security commitment. The key here is we tend to see the U.S.-China relationship to be a zero-sum game. If the United States getting more, especially under the Trump perspective, the United States want to get ahead, want to be, want to get ahead, and actually winning more power over the control over the war, then it has to suppress China, especially under this current administration. That's what exactly we're doing since 2016. The biggest question that we have is Taiwan is not actually part of the actor outside this zero-sum game. It's an actor inside this zero-sum. So eventually, depends on who's the president, which party is actually running the government of Taiwan, we always choose side. And now I think our image is very clear, or our choice is very clear. We want to stick with the value of democracy and getting closer with the United States. But so we should see warmer U.S.-Taiwan relationship. But how much is going to antagonize China? We will see. I think that's good enough. All right, thank you very much.